Alright, let's get into it. The Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, or CMMC, is a big deal if you work with the United States Department of Defense. Think of it as a verification system. It's designed to make sure that any company handling sensitive government information has the right security measures in place. This isn't just a suggestion, it's becoming a requirement for winning and keeping Department of Defense contracts. The main goal here is to protect what's called Controlled Unclassified Information, or CUI. This is information that isn't classified but is still considered important enough to need protection. CMMC is the Department of Defense's way of checking that your digital house is in order before they hand you the keys to any sensitive data. Now you might be thinking, does my small business really need this? The answer is simple. If you handle CUI as part of a Department of Defense contract, then yes, you absolutely do. CMMC isn't just for the big defense giants, it applies to the entire supply chain, right down to the smallest subcontractors. The level of compliance you need depends on the type of information you handle. For many, Level 3 is the target. This level signifies that you have a mature cybersecurity program capable of protecting CUI from advanced threats. Missing this certification could mean losing out on valuable government work, making it a critical business objective for many companies in the defense industrial base. So, what does this have to do with your website or your internal portal? A lot, actually. Many companies use a content management system, or CMS, like DNN, formerly .NET Nuke, to manage their web presence and internal collaboration. These platforms often become repositories for documents, user data, and project files. If any of that data is CUI, your CMS instantly falls under the CMMC microscope. Its security features, or lack thereof, directly impact your ability to become compliant. You can't just set up a website and hope for the best. You have to prove that the platform itself is configured to meet dozens of specific security controls. This is where a robust and extensible platform like DNN can be a powerful ally. It's not a magic bullet for compliance, but it has a solid foundation of security features that align well with many CMMC requirements. We're talking about controlling who can see what, logging user activity, and managing how files are handled. Understanding how to leverage these built-in tools is the first step in turning your CMS from a potential liability into a key component of your CMMC compliance strategy. We're going to break down exactly how you can use DNN to get a head start on meeting those stringent Level 3 requirements. Let's start by looking at what DNN brings to the table right out of the box. One of its most powerful features for CMMC is its granular role-based access control. This isn't just a simple user versus admin setup. In DNN, you can create highly specific roles like project manager, engineer, or external auditor, and assign very precise permissions to each one. You can control who gets to view, edit, or add content on a page-by-page, or even module-by-module basis. This is huge for CMMC, which heavily emphasizes the principle of least privilege. This principle states that users should only have access to the information and system functions that are absolutely necessary for their jobs. DNN's framework is built to enforce this rule effectively. Next up is logging and auditing, a cornerstone of any serious security program. CMMC Level 3 requires you to generate, review, and retain audit logs to detect and respond to potential security incidents. DNN has a built-in event log that tracks a wide range of activities happening within the platform. This includes user logins, both successful and failed, password changes, permission modifications, and content updates. These logs provide a crucial trail of evidence. If there's ever a question about who accessed a specific file or when a certain setting was changed, the DNN event log is your first stop. This native logging capability gives you a solid starting point for meeting CMMC's stringent auditing and accountability controls. File management is another area where DNN's features can directly support your compliance efforts. CUI often exists in the form of documents, PDFs, CAD files, spreadsheets, and technical specifications. DNN allows you to control access to files and folders with the same role-based permissions you use for pages. You can create secure folders that are only visible and accessible to specific user roles, ensuring that sensitive documents aren't exposed to the public or unauthorized internal users. Furthermore, you can configure settings like an approved file extension list, which helps prevent users from uploading potentially malicious or non-compliant file types, adding another layer of protection that aligns with CMMC media protection requirements. Finally, let's talk about authentication. Strong authentication is non-negotiable for CMMC Level 3. DNN provides a flexible authentication system that can be hardened to meet these standards. Out of the box, it includes features for password strength enforcement, such as requiring minimum length, complexity, and regular password changes. Even better, its extensible nature means you can integrate it with more advanced authentication providers. This allows you to implement multi-factor authentication, a specific requirement for CMMC Level 3. By connecting DNN to an MFA service like Azure AD or Google Authenticator, you ensure that a password alone is never enough to gain access to sensitive areas of your system. Let's get specific and map DNN's capabilities directly to the CMMC controls they help you satisfy. We'll start with the access control domain, which is all about limiting system access. CMMC control AC.L2-3, 1.3. Control the flow of CUI is a perfect example. Using DNN's role-based permissions on pages and secure folders, you can create a controlled environment where only authorized roles can access pages or document libraries containing CUI. This directly addresses the need to manage and restrict how this sensitive information moves within your system. Similarly, AC.L1-3, 1.1, Limit Information System Access to Authorized Users, is handled by DNN's Core User Management and Login System, which forms the first line of defense. Moving on to the audit and accountability domain, DNN's event log is your key asset. Control AU.L2-3. 3.1 requires you to create and retain system audit logs and records to the extent needed to enable the monitoring, analysis, investigation, and reporting of unlawful or unauthorized system activity. The DNN event log captures login attempts, content changes, and administrative actions, creating exactly the kind of records this control demands. To fully meet this, you would need to ensure these logs are regularly reviewed and archived to an external secure location, but DNN provides the raw data you need to start. This is a foundational piece of the puzzle for accountability. Next is the identification and authentication domain. CMMC control IA.L2-3, 5.3, use multi-factor authentication for local and network access to privileged accounts, is a critical requirement at Level 3. While DNN's core system doesn't include MFA natively, its architecture is designed for this kind of extension. By installing a third-party MFA provider module or integrating with a single sign-on service that enforces MFA, you can easily check this box. This demonstrates how DNN's flexibility is just as important as its built-in features. For IA.L1-3, 5.1 Identify Information System Users, DNN's user profile system, which assigns a unique identity to every user, directly satisfies the requirement. Finally, consider the media protection and configuration management domains. For MP.L2-3, 8.3, which involves limiting the use of portable storage, you can use DNN's file extension whitelist to block potentially risky file types from being uploaded from USB drives or other media. For configuration management, control CM.L2-3. 4.1 Establish and maintain baseline configurations can be supported by documenting your initial secure DNN setup. This includes all your role definitions, security settings, and module configurations. You can then use this baseline document to periodically audit your live site, ensuring that no unauthorized changes have been made. This disciplined approach is central to maintaining a secure and compliant state over time. It's critically important to understand that installing and configuring DNN, no matter how securely you do it, doesn't make you CMMC compliant on its own. The platform is just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. Think of DNN as a secure room inside your building, but if the building itself has no locks on the doors, weak walls, and no security guards, then honestly, that secure room just doesn't mean much. The most significant gap is actually your hosting infrastructure. Where your DNN site is physically or virtually located matters a whole lot. For CMMC Level 3, you'll likely need to use a hosting environment that's FedRAMP authorized, which ensures the underlying data center and network infrastructure meet those stringent federal security standards. Your cheap shared hosting plan simply won't cut it. Another big area outside of DNN's control is network security and continuous monitoring. CMMC requires you to protect your systems with firewalls, intrusion detection systems, and other network-level defenses. These tools monitor the traffic flowing to and from your DNN server, looking for malicious activity before it even gets to the application. You need to have a security information and event management, or CM, system in place. This system will collect logs not only from DNN, but also from your firewall, your server operating system, and other devices. It then analyzes all this data together to spot anomalies and potential attacks, something DNN alone just can't do. This is a proactive defense layer, and it's mandatory for a mature security posture. Policies, procedures, and people are arguably the most important part of CMMC compliance, and honestly, they exist entirely outside of any software platform. You must create, document, and enforce a wide range of security policies. This includes an incident response plan that details exactly what to do if a breach occurs, a configuration management plan, and an access control policy. You also need to conduct regular security awareness training for all your employees. A user who clicks on a phishing link can bypass even the most secure DNN configuration. CMMC is as much about creating a security-conscious culture as it is about implementing technical controls. Finally, there are numerous CMMC controls that have nothing to do with a web application. For example, the physical protection domain requires you to control physical access to your facilities, servers, and workstations. The personnel security domain involves screening individuals before granting them access to CUI. The recovery domain requires you to have reliable data backup and disaster recovery plans that are regularly tested. These are all essential responsibilities that your organization must handle. DNN can help protect the CUI it manages, but it can't back itself up to an off-site location, vet your new hires, or lock the server room door. So you're ready to use DNN as part of your CMMC strategy. Let's go ahead and create a practical step-by-step checklist to get you on the right path. First, start with a secure installation. Always download DNN from the official source to avoid tampered code. During setup, use a strong, unique password for the superuser or host account, and immediately change the default administrative username from host. It's also wise to enable SSL or TLS for your entire site from day one, forcing all traffic over HTTPS. This encrypts the data in transit between the user's browser and your server, which is a fundamental requirement for protecting CUI and login credentials from being intercepted on the network. Second on your list is rigorous user and role management. Conduct a thorough audit of all existing user accounts. Disable or delete any that are no longer needed. For the remaining accounts, implement the principle of least privilege. Create custom roles that grant the absolute minimum permissions necessary for users to perform their jobs. Avoid using the default administrator's role for daily tasks. Instead, create granular roles like content editor or project viewer. You should document what each role can do and review these permissions on a recurring basis, maybe quarterly, to make sure they remain appropriate and haven't expanded unnecessarily over time. Third, harden your platform's configuration settings. In the DNN security settings, enforce strong password policies, set a minimum length of 12 to 14 characters, require a mix of uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols, and enforce a password history to prevent reuse. Configure the file extension whitelist to only allow necessary business file types, explicitly blocking executables like .exe, DL, and JAs. You should also configure your DNN scheduler to run regularly to clear out old cache and temporary files. This reduces the attack surface and helps maintain a clean, efficient system that's easier to manage and secure over time. Finally, establish a continuous maintenance and monitoring routine. This is not a one-time setup. You must subscribe to DNN security announcements and apply security patches and version updates as soon as they're released. An unpatched system is, honestly, an open invitation for attackers. Regularly export and back up your DNN event logs to a separate secure log aggregation server or CM. Most importantly, schedule periodic reviews of your entire DNN security posture against your documented baseline. Treat your DNN site like any other critical IT asset, monitor it, maintain it, and never assume that it'll stay secure without your constant attention and effort. If you'd like to explore how to implement DNN into your network and CMMC compliance strategy, text Control Tower LLC at 850-333-6141. That's 850-333-6141.